My parents showed up with a moving truck to move my brother's family into my house because remote workers belong in basements. So I called the police and exposed their crazy scheme. This started 3 weeks ago during what I thought would be a normal Sunday dinner at my parents' house. For context, I work as a senior software engineer for a tech company based in Seattle, but I live in suburban Ohio. I've been fully remote since 2020, and last year I bought my first house, a modest 3-bedroom colonial that I've been slowly renovating. My older brother James, 35M, lives about 20 minutes away, with his wife Patricia, 33F, and their 3 kids, 8M, 6F, 3M, in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment. During dinner, my mom, Barbara, 60F, started asking pointed questions about my work schedule. So you just sit at your computer all day? You don't actually go anywhere? I explained for probably the 100th time that yes, I work from home, but I'm actually working meetings, coding, project management. My dad, Charles, 62M, chimed in with, "But it's not like real work where you have to show up somewhere, right?" I should have seen where this was heading. But I was blindsided when my mom said, "We've been thinking since you don't really need all that space. You just need a desk and internet. Wouldn't it make more sense for James and his family to live in your house? You could move into our basement. We're getting it finished next month." I literally laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. My dad launched into this whole presentation, and I mean presentation, with points he'd apparently prepared about resource optimization and family priorities, according to them. 1, since I work from home, I don't need a real house. 2, a family with children has actual space needs. 3, the basement would be perfect for a young single person who just needs Wi-Fi. 4, this would be helping the family and being a good brother. 5, they'd even let me use the main floor bathroom during work hours. I sat there stunned while James uncomfortably pushed food around his plate. Patricia kept saying things like, "We couldn't possibly," but in that way where she's clearly already mentally decorating my living room. "You're joking," I finally managed. "You want me to give up the house I bought with my own money to live in your basement because my job is remote?" My mom's response: "Well, it's not like you're using it properly. James's kids need bedrooms. You have 2 empty rooms you just use for office space and hobbies. That's wasteful when family needs real housing." The hobbies, she's referring to my music studio, where I record and produce as a side business that brings in an extra $2,000 a month. I tried explaining that I bought my house with my money from my job, that I pay the mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities. My dad actually said, "But you earned that money sitting at home. It's not the same as James, who has to commute to his real job. James is a retail manager. I respect his work, but I make 3 times his salary." I left shortly after that, thinking they'd realize how insane this was. Instead, I've been getting texts from my mom about basement paint colors and whether I prefer carpet or laminate flooring. She sent me a floor plan she drew with spaces marked Michael's desk area and Michael's sleeping zone. Yesterday, she texted asking for my house keys so she could help Patricia plan the children's room arrangements. I responded that they would not be getting keys to my house, and she replied that I was being selfish with family resources. My dad called me last night to say he's disappointed in my lack of family values and that a man who works in his pajamas shouldn't be keeping a real family in an apartment. I don't work in pajamas. I dress professionally for video calls. I manage a team of 12 people across 4 time zones. I'm lead architect on a system that processes millions of transactions daily. But apparently, because I do it from my home office instead of commuting to a cube farm, I don't have a real job that deserves real housing. Am I crazy? How do I get through to them that working remotely doesn't mean I'm playing pretend job while living in a house I don't deserve? Update 1, 2 weeks later. I can't believe I'm writing this update, but things have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post confirming that, no, I'm not crazy, and yes, my parents have completely lost the plot. After my first post, I tried to set firm boundaries. I had a calm conversation with my parents explaining that my house is not a family resource. It's my private property purchased with my earnings for my very real job. I thought we'd reached an understanding when they nodded along. And my mom said, "We hear you, honey." I should have known better when she followed up with, "So what day works for you to start moving your things?" Last Tuesday, I was in the middle of a critical deployment meeting when my doorbell camera started going crazy. I apologized to my team, muted myself, and checked the feed. My parents were at my door with James, Patricia, and I kid you not, a moving truck. I unmuted long enough to tell my team I had an emergency, then ran downstairs. When I opened the door, my mom cheerfully announced, "We're here to help with a transition. Patricia is so excited to measure for curtains." What transition, I asked, even though I knew my dad was already directing James and 2 guys I didn't recognize to start unloading boxes the bedroom furniture first. He was saying Michael will need time to disassemble his current setup. I blocked the doorway. "Absolutely not. No one is bringing anything into my house. I need you all to leave now." Patricia had the audacity to say, Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Think of the children. Your children. I shot back. Who have a home? Just not my home. My mom tried to push past me. Actually physically tried to push into my house while saying, "Don't be dramatic. We discussed this. You discussed it." I said no. Multiple times. That's when my dad pulled out his phone and showed me a group text I wasn't part of where they'd been coordinating the move for the past week. The messages included a Patricia asking about my washer/dryer models to ensure her delicate settings were available, a James wondering if my garage could fit 2 cars, or if he'd need to park Michael's car on the street, and my mom assuring everyone that the basement remodel would be cozy for Michael, and my dad calculating how much they'd save on James's rent to put toward family vacations. They'd been planning this like I'd already agreed, like my house was just a done deal for them to redistribute. I stood my ground. Get off the property, or I'm calling the police. My mom started crying. Not sad crying, angry crying. I can't believe you'd threaten your own family with the police after everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me? I asked. We raised you. We fed you. We dash. 20 years ago, when I was a child, that was your job. My dad stepped forward. Watch your tone with your mother. A son who disrespects family doesn't deserve dash. To own his own home, to have boundaries, to be treated like an adult. Finish that sentence, Dad. James finally spoke up. Look, Mike, I didn't ask for this, but Patricia immediately added, but since they're offering, it would really help the kids to have proper bedrooms. Timmy's been sharing with both little ones. I looked at my brother. Are you seriously okay with this? Taking my house? He shrugged. It's not taking if Mom and Dad think it's best for the family. I was done. Everyone off my property. Next person who shows up here uninvited gets trespassed by the cops. As they were leaving, my mom shouted, that basement is being finished whether you appreciate it or not. When you come to your senses, it'll be ready. The moving truck left, but I noticed Patricia had kept one of the guy's business cards. The next morning, I woke up to 47 texts in a new group chat called Michael's Transition Support. Extended family members were chiming in. Aunt Linda so proud of Michael for putting family first. Uncle Richard about time he grew up and helped his brother. Cousin Jennifer, the basement sounds nice. Lucky you don't have to pay rent. I sent one message. I am not moving. I am not giving up my house. Anyone who shows up at my property uninvited will be trespassed. Then I left the group. My mom texted separately. Your selfishness is tearing this family apart. I hope your important computer job is worth losing your family. I responded, I'm not losing my family. I'm setting boundaries with people who don't respect me, my career, or my property rights. She replied, property rights. Property rights? Is that what family means to you? Legal terms. Yes, Mom. When you're trying to steal my house, legal terms become pretty relevant. I've installed additional security cameras and changed my locks. They had a spare key from when I first moved in. I've also documented everything and consulted with a lawyer friend who confirmed that obviously they have zero legal right to my property, but suggested I keep records of all interactions in case this escalates further. I've been painted as the villain to my entire extended family. According to the narrative being spun, I'm a selfish millennial who values his laptop over family and won't help his own brother's children have bedrooms while he lives alone in a big house playing on his computer. No mention that I worked 60-hour weeks for years to afford this house. No mention that James and Patricia chose to have 3 kids while living in a 2-bedroom apartment. No mention that I offered to help James with job referrals at my company, which he declined because he doesn't want to work with computers. My house isn't even that big, 1,600 square feet. But apparently, if you work from home, any space larger than a basement is considered excessive. I'm holding firm, but the stress is affecting my work. I had to explain to my manager why I was distracted during meetings. Thankfully, she was horrified on my behalf and told me to take whatever time I needed to deal with your absolutely insane family situation. At least my employer recognizes that my job is real. Shame my family can't. Update 2, 6 weeks later. I thought the situation couldn't get more surreal. I was wrong. After my last update, things went quiet for about 2 weeks. I foolishly thought my family had come to their senses. In reality, they were regrouping and planning what I can only describe as a coordinated psychological campaign. It started small. My mom began posting on Facebook about the housing crisis and multi-generational living, tagging me in articles about why millennials should move back home and the selfishness of single homeowners. She'd comment things like, some people understand family values with those passive-aggressive ellipses. Then came the flying monkeys, extended family members she'd started getting calls. My godmother, Susan, your mom's so hurt. She just wants the family together. Would it kill you to consider it? My Uncle Joseph back in my day, family helped family. We didn't need boundaries. My cousin Mark, dude, just give them the house. It's not worth the drama. I held firm, reiterating that my house was not up for discussion. That's when phase 2 began. Patricia started an Instagram account called Apartment Life with 3 kids where she documented their struggles. Videos of the kids sharing a room, posts about making the best of limited space, captions like, "Someday we'll have room for a Christmas tree," and teaching gratitude even when you can't give your children their own bedrooms. The comments were full of my family members offering prayers and hopes that a solution presents itself soon. My mom would reply with cryptic things like, "God provides for those who deserve it, and family solutions exist for those willing to accept them." Meanwhile, I was dealing with increased pressure at work. We were approaching a major product launch and I was working 12-hour days. My home office was my sanctuary, a dedicated space where I could focus without distractions. The idea of moving to my parents' basement, fighting for bathroom time, dealing with their commentary about my not real job while managing critical infrastructure. It was laughable. But they weren't laughing. They were escalating. 3 weeks ago, I came home from a rare in-person team meeting to find my lawn had been decorated. My parents had installed a large sign that read, "Future home of the James family, thanks to brother's generosity," with photos of my nephews and niece. Balloons were tied to my mailbox. My neighbors were taking pictures. I tore it all down, but not before Patricia had posted photos on her Instagram with a caption claiming it in faith. Folded hands, #blessed, #family first, #God's plan. The comments exploded. Church friends praising my sacrifice. Local mom groups calling me an angel brother. People I'd never met discussing how wonderful it was that I was giving up my bachelor pad for the children. I posted one comment, "I am not giving up my house. This is harassment. Please stop." Patricia deleted my comment within minutes, but screenshot it first to share in the family group chat with crying emojis. And why would he be so cruel? The next day, my dad showed up at my house during a client presentation. I saw him on my doorbell camera, walking around my property with a clipboard, measuring windows, and taking notes. When I texted him to leave immediately, he responded, "Just helping James plan for the renovation." Ignore me. Renovation of my house. I excused myself from the meeting, went outside, and found him taking soil samples. "What the hell are you doing? Patricia wants to start a garden testing if the soil's suitable for vegetables. Get off my property before I call the police." He looked at me with such disappointment. "Your grandfather would be ashamed. He built his house with his own hands for his family. You buy one with computer money and won't even share." Grandpa respected ownership. He'd understand completely. He worked a real job in a factory with his hands. And I work a real job with my brain. Leave. No. He left, but not before saying, "The basement will be ready next month. Your mother picked a nice gray for the walls." Very calming. Last week reached a new low. I woke up to find a lockbox on my front door, the kind realtors use. I immediately called my mom. "Oh, good. You saw it. We thought it would be easier for the transition. James and Patricia can start moving things in slowly, and you won't have to be bothered. You put a lockbox on my door. Don't be dramatic. The code is your birthday. We're not strangers." I cut it off with bolt cutters and threw it in the trash. Then I called a locksmith to install new deadbolts and a security system that alerts my phone anytime someone approaches my property. 2 days later, a letter arrived from a lawyer. My stomach dropped. Were they actually trying to legally steal my house? But no, it was somehow worse. It was a formal notice that my parents were designating a portion of their basement as a rental unit and would be expecting me to sign a lease agreement to maintain family harmony and establish clear boundaries as requested. The lease terms included a $400 per month rent below market. They noted generously access to upstairs bathroom during designated hours, a kitchen privileges with 24-hour notice, a quiet hours policy during their TV time, a no overnight guests without landlord approval, a first right of refusal if I decided to abandon my housing stubbornness. They were seriously trying to formalize me living in their basement as a rent-paying tenant while my brother lived in my house. I forwarded everything to my lawyer friend who laughed so hard he had to put me on hold. When he came back, he said, "Frame this, frame it, and put it on your wall as a reminder that sometimes family is absolutely insane." My work performance was starting to suffer. My manager pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I broke down and told her the whole saga. She listened, jaw-dropping further with each detail. "Michael," she said finally, "I'm going to say something that might be overstepping, but have you considered that your family is abusive? I'd been so focused on the house issue that I hadn't stepped back to see the pattern, the dismissal of my career, the violation of boundaries, the public humiliation, the manipulation, the complete disregard for my autonomy. Take some time, she said, real time. Focus on the launch and then take a week to figure out your next steps. And if you need to relocate to get away from this insanity, we'll make it work. Your job is real valuable and important. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That night, I made a decision. I blocked my parents, James and Patricia, on everything phone, social media, email. I sent one final message to the extended family group chat. My career is real. My house is mine. I will not be moving to a basement. I will not be giving up my property. Anyone who continues to harass me about this will be cut out of my life. This is not a negotiation. Then I left that chat too. The peace was immediate. No buzzing phone, no doorbell alerts, no passive-aggressive posts to see, just quiet. I finished the product launch successfully. My team crushed our metrics. My manager put me up for a promotion, and I sat in my home office in my house feeling like I could breathe for the first time in months. Of course, it didn't last, which brings me to final update 4 months later. I've debated whether to write this final update, but I figure you all deserve to know how this insane saga ended. After blocking my family, I enjoyed 2 months of relative peace. I threw myself into work, earned that promotion, hello principal engineer, and started therapy to unpack the decades of dismissive behavior I'd normalized. My therapist helped me understand that my parents had always minimized my achievements. Good grades were expected. Scholarships were lucky. My career was playing with computers. Nothing was ever real or valid unless it fit their narrow definition of success. I thought the silence meant they'd finally accepted reality. I should have known better. 8 weeks into no contact, I received a certified letter. Inside was a formal family intervention notice, apparently a thing my parents made up and had notarized. It included 1, a psychiatric evaluation referral for my antisocial behavior. 2, a family counseling schedule with a therapist who specialized in gaming addiction because working in tech means I'm addicted to games. 3, a proposed timeline for residential transition. 4, photos of the completed basement apartment with my name on the door. But the real kicker, they'd obtained a power of attorney form pre-filled with their names, citing concerns about decision-making capacity in light of recent irrational behavior. My lawyer friend connected me with an actual estate attorney who sent a cease and desist letter so strongly worded it could strip paint. It explicitly stated that any further attempts to access my property, claim rights to my home, or question my mental capacity would result in legal action. The response came not from my parents, but from Patricia's divorce attorney brother, claiming the letter was unnecessarily aggressive and suggesting mediation to resolve the family housing situation. The family housing situation, like my personal property, was a communal issue to be mediated. I declined to respond, but I did install more cameras and an upgraded security system. Good thing, too. 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, my security system alerted me to movement in my backyard. I checked the cameras to find James trying to jimmy my back door while Patricia stood lookout. My brother, my actual brother, was attempting to break into my house. I called the police immediately. Watching them get arrested on my own security cameras was surreal. James kept saying, "It's a family matter." Our parents said it was okay. This is our house. They were charged with attempted breaking and entering. My parents bailed them out and had the audacity to call me from a neighbor's phone since I'd blocked theirs, screaming about how I'd ruined James's life and traumatized the children by having their parents arrested. The children weren't there. They were with Patricia's mom, who apparently was the only sane person in this entire saga and had refused to participate in the home redistribution plan. The attempted break-in was my breaking point. I hired a moving company, put my house on a market, and accepted a relocation package from my company to move to Colorado. I didn't tell anyone in my family. My house sold in 4 days above asking price to a lovely couple who actually appreciated it. The closing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. During those 3 weeks, the extinction burst was spectacular. And my mom showed up at my house with a priest to bless the family transition. And my dad tried to file a fraudulent lien against my property, claiming I owed them for childhood expenses. Patricia started a GoFundMe for displaced children whose uncle abandoned them. James was fired from his job after missing multiple shifts to stock my house. Extended family members I hadn't heard from in years suddenly needed to tell me about their housing struggles. I documented everything. My attorney was building a robust case for restraining orders. The day before closing, my parents made one final play. They showed up with a U-Haul bolt cutters and a locksmith, claiming they had tenant rights since they'd established residency by receiving mail there. The mail cards they'd sent to themselves at my address over the past month. My neighbor called me. I was already in Colorado, and I conference called the police while watching on my cameras. This time, my parents were arrested too. The closing went through while they were in custody. By the time they were released, I was states away. My phone number was changed, and my forwarding address was a P.O. box. That was 2 months ago. I've heard through the grapevine my godmother, who's still sane, keeps me updated that James and Patricia are divorcing. The stress of the situation apparently revealed other issues, and my parents are facing significant legal fees. They're telling everyone I sold the family home out of spite. The basement renovation put them $15,000 in debt. Patricia's Instagram is now private after someone reported her for harassment. My new life in Colorado is peaceful. My home office has a mountain view. My neighbors don't try to break in. My family doesn't exist here. I'm in therapy dealing with the guilt and grief of losing my family. Not because they died, but because they revealed who they always were. People who saw me not as a person, but as a resource to be redistributed. My therapist asked me last week if I regret anything. I thought about it and realized I have one regret: that I didn't see this coming sooner. The signs were always there. Every achievement dismissed, every boundary pushed, every success reframed as luck or selfishness. But I don't regret keeping my house. I don't regret calling the police. I don't regret moving away. I don't regret choosing my peace over their chaos. For anyone reading this who's dealing with family who doesn't respect your career, your choices, or your boundaries, you're not crazy. Your job is real. Your home is yours. Your life is valid. And sometimes the price of peace is distance. I'm still a software engineer. I still work from home. And now I do it 1,000 miles away from people who think that makes me less deserving of basic respect. Best decision I ever made. Final edit. Since some people have asked, yes, I'm still no contact. No, I don't plan to reconcile. Yes, I'm happy. And to the person who messaged asking if the basement is available to rent, I genuinely laughed out loud. Thanks for that. To my fellow remote workers, your job is real. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Peace out.